Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Kachmar, and this is Lifeguarding with Dr. Michael Kachmar. Today is October. What's today's date? October 19th.
Yeah.
The year of our Lord, 2021.
What is the year of our Lord joke again?
Well, that's when Christ was born. It would go, it's no joke.
2021?
This is 2021. People, we use that. A lot of people, there's a new thing now. People who don't believe in, don't want to go follow Jesus Christ. The calendar is made, what do you call it? What's predicated on Christ's death or Christ being on earth.
Yeah.
So people who don't believe that, they change the calendar. So we follow in this podcast, we follow.
What would be an example of that altered calendar?
What's that?
What was that? An example of that calendar?
They instead of saying AD, so you got BC before Christ, AD after Christ. They have another designation for it. I don't know. I wasn't prepared for this, so let's move on. I don't want to get killed. So anyway, so let's get moved on here. Hopefully, we have a little bit better show today with the our camera work. We are. This is our second live
work in progress.
Still work in progress. Sure. This is our second show. We are live Facebook. We're live YouTube, and we're on Twitch and Twitter, and we're doing a podcast right now, which will be out on Spotify and Apple and all the other venues. So anyway, so let's start our show. This is a show dedicated to Lifeguard news and everything to do with Lifeguard. So Sean, can you throw out our contact email?
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. So first of all, my name is Dr. Michael Kachmar. My name should be up there, Sean, too, right?
It was.
Okay. Well, it's not there now.
And now it can be.
So anyway, how about showing us the email? We're going to show you the email that you could get a hold of us. So if you guys want to communicate with us right now, that's our email address. If somebody wants to be on the show and or you want to send us comments, so you can comment on YouTube, but you could certainly send it out there. So let's start the show today. So I got a few things we want to talk about. We've been watching some YouTube videos of our own and watching Sean sent me what'd you send me, Sean? That was the Legends of Lifeguarding.
Yeah, 100 years, or you sent us the 100 years and I sent you Legends of Lifeguarding.
Right. And that's all from Hawaii. They got huge ocean out there, and what they got out there is what's called aloha, and they live, breathe. They're first watermen and then lifeguards, but they live and breathe that stuff, and they get some rough ocean out there, and they have some there's some legends out there, and so we just want to throw a shout out to our brothers in Hawaii, past and present. And
brothers and sisters.
Yes. There's been some really unbelievable women out there in that video. We don't have a link to it right now, but it's what was it called? 100 years of Hawaiian lifeguarding, I think.
Yeah, I'll
find it on there, and I think it's a great thing that people could go and watch.
100 years on the beach. It's a documentary. I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. So I'd watch that, and so. The other things I want to talk about today.
Can we talk about aloha for a second?
Well, I don't know much about it. I was going to talk to my brother-in-law who's Samoan. So did you research it a little bit? I don't want, don't.
Just from what I gathered from, what we watched, it really doesn't even have much to do with the ocean. It's about just like having love in your heart and that willingness to go out and help people. And that's a
that's
lot
kind
of
the
what
big
we
part
do.
of being a lifeguard with aloha, trying to help people and be a good person.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do is my brother-in-law, who is Samoan and grew up in Hawaii, I'm going to try to get him on get us a phone call. He's in Texas right now, and try to get him to discuss it and explain to us what it really means.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be really good. So let's talk about a few things. And the first part of the show, I'm trying to be a little bit academic. So I want to talk about the standard of care. I'm a doctor. I'm a foot and ankle surgeon. So we have a standard of care. We follow what's medicine-based science, but we have a standard of care. What that means is we have to do certain things that have to fall into a certain parameter.
Yeah, everybody has to do these things, right?
Yeah. And so what we have actually as lifeguards, there's standard of care, and we follow the USLA guidelines. It's a certifying entity in the United States, and you could go look it up. It's usla.org. But I just want to touch base on a few of the standards of care and what they mean. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but Tyler, can you look at the whiteboard behind you? So we have it on the whiteboard. So and I wrote out what's the first thing you have there, where we talk about equipment.
I believe it says personnel and equipment.
Right. So let's just hit that real quick, because I was talking to a captain today of another beach patrol, and it's really important to have the right equipment. And the towns don't, maybe they don't have the money. I know beach patrols, they don't have a boat. They don't have enough cans. They don't backboards. So you have to, if you want to be the standard of care and not be considered negligent, you need to have all the stuff on the beach. And that's why, and you guys could, how many times do I give you a hard time, especially you, about putting a flag up and having a board on the bench, right?
Yeah.
You got, USLA, every stand has to have a board or a flotation device, a boat, a board, a jet ski. We put flags up. We check the cans, make sure. Some beaches rotate the cans.
Yeah,
What are you
there's
gonna say,
reasons
Sean?
for why we put up certain equipment at certain days, like red, green, yellow flags are all for people's information to know what's happening with the water, what we're doing with the water today.
Right, and that's an important thing. Flags, when I first started, flags were not out there. Flags weren't there. And so, a lot of beaches now, they'll have the flag. They'll have, when you walk on the beach, there'll be signs that designate what that flag means. And it helps to communicate with the public. The one, I was just, again, the conversation I had with this captain this morning of La Valette, he was telling me that they rotate their equipment, which is pretty interesting. Let's just say you have, 20 stands on the beach. That means there's 20 rope boxes. They'll rotate the one box every year or two boxes every year. Take them out, let them sit, bring a new one on. So, you're always buying new. You're always, this way you're less likely to have failure of equipment.
Yeah.
Great. I just pulled up the minimum recommended lifeguard equipment standards on USLA's website. For rescues, we have at least one rescue flotation device for each lifeguard on duty. Masks and snorkels readily accessible to mount an underwater search and rescue as appropriate. Binoculars, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Who says that all the time? Binoculars, huh?
Dr. Michael Cash.
How many times do I yell at you guys? I go up on a stand to do covers, and there's something happens. Somebody's in trouble, a couple beaches down, and I take you guys binoculars, and I can't even see my feet.
Yeah, you really got to take care of your equipment.
It's
really important. Nothing's worse than a pair of binoculars that you can't see out of. It's frustrating, and it's
sand or dropped in the ocean.
Yeah. So at our beach patrol, we buy the binoculars. The beach patrol does, and we give them out to the kids, to the lifeguards, and you could buy them on lifeguard web pages, and so equipment. This keep on going. Whistle, a good whistle.
Let's continue down the list.
Okay, so let's go look at the rest. Okay.
Swim fins for rescue purposes only, swim fins for rescue purposes readily accessible to lifeguards as appropriate according to local conditions.
Unless you have big feet, right? What if you have like 13 feet? Your feet are 13 inches. Do you still have to have fins?
Yeah.
All right.
And that's up to the beach patrol to provide them. Medical.
Oh, you put it up there. Kit. Oh, great. Okay. Can they see that on the thing?
Not on the screen. I can.
So we can see it. Okay, go ahead.
First aid kit, adequate. So you just pulled it up on. Now I'm going to look back. Are you messing with me, Sean?
No, I'm not trying to.
So we have it up on. We have it up on our screen.
First aid kit adequate to treat minor injuries at each staffed lifeguard post. A first aid kit adequate to treat both minor and major medical emergencies. Equipment to protect against bloodborne pathogens. Spinal stabilization equipment.
This is an important one.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think the big,
Were you two on the beach when we had that spinal a few years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've had a couple of broken necks, but about equipment, obviously, you need the boards, you need flotation device, but one of the things that every beach should have is an AED.
Oh yeah.
I've done CPR several times on the beach, and we've used the AED. In fact, about 2 years ago, we used it. I had to shock the woman 3 times. So, but let's keep going, because I don't want to get bogged down on the specifics. The thing is, I think everybody understands we need equipment. So so we have and personnel. This is another thing. personnel is very important. Personnel, when I say personnel, you need people who know how to swim. And it sounds, counterintuitive, but you need to have good people there. People who you said who have, I guess, aloha.
Aloha.
They're passionate about the job, but they also got to kind of like people. If you don't like people, it's kind of hard. And the people that we deal with on the beach or any beach, they could be challenging. They could be challenging.
One of the interesting things that in that documentary that we all looked at, what's it called again? 100 Years on the Beach.
Yep.
Right. And it was made for like 100-year anniversary
of the Hawaiian lifeguards. Yeah.
Well, one awesome thing is the story of Eddie Aikau, which I think every lifeguard needs to go check out. But another thing that got mentioned was they were talking about at the beginning when they first started like working these beaches, they didn't really have the job completely ironed out yet. And one of their practices was don't talk to the public, because if you're talking to the public, it means that you're not watching the water, right? You're not doing your job.
Yeah, but that was a military thing that these people are veterans that became lifeguards at this time, and that kind of just reminded me of our beach with John Boyd. Like that's how he brought up Seaside Heights.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a cool.
Yeah, really well drilled. You know, but the larger point being, what they came to realize that talking to the public was probably the most important thing, and they kind of started at that point working towards preventative lifeguarding. And
I'm sorry.
A big point that was made, and this is something that I always stress to my younger guards, is that it's not that the public is stupid. I know I was joking around last week, and I said something about the public being stupid. That's not even the case. The case is that they're just ignorant to the conditions. And if you're not going and communicating with them clearly and patiently, then you're going to lose them right then. They're not going to be willing to listen to you.
The problem with that too is though, during when you have a situation going on, there's a sense of urgency, and you really can't stop and get the whiteboard out and chalkboard and have a lesson and sit them down on a chair, like 100 of them, and say, listen, this is bad water. You got to
give like water safety courses.
You get a little bit, but the personnel, you make a good. That's why I want to say equipment and personnel. This is standard of care. Us as supervisors, and we have to hire the right people with the right heart, people with the right attitude to deal with patient people. And also, one thing we got to teach them how to identify a victim.
So what does your perfect lifeguard look like? Like, what's your perfect hire?
Well, I think the perfect hire is somebody with a good heart. Somebody who is a good waterman. I always like surfers. We get all kinds of people come to the beach.
I've seen a lot of surfers that really can't swim.
No, but they know. Yeah, but here's the thing, though. A lot of them, they know the water, and that's one of the things that I like. You got several things that with
that's
a lifeguard.
Hard thing to teach.
Right. You got to be able to swim. Okay, and a lot of our rescues. We train you, and you get pretty good. You can make a rescue. Some people are faster than others. And we have to pass the test, but it's learning to see somebody who's in trouble way before they're yelling and screaming and they're going down, to understand the water, and that's hard to. But that's my best lifeguard. So anyway, let's go to the whiteboard again, Tyler. What's the next thing? So you have. I just want to go bang through these because there's a lot. So you have
preventative something.
Okay. It's preventative.
What is that hieroglyphic?
Strategies, maybe?
Strategies? Yeah. So so it's preventative. It's a good point. It doesn't matter. Preventative strategies. What you do is you want to look at the environment. So we do this every day. We're gonna move the stands different ways based on the ocean. We're gonna move our stands up and down. We're gonna yellow flag, red flag. We're not going to let boogie boards in if it's a big shore break. We're not going to let people ride waves if it's a huge ocean.
The tides.
What's that?
The time of the tides is going to tell us where we put our stands.
Right. It's kind of like risk management, but managing your risks is a very important thing. Standard of care. Let's just say that it's a day that's going to be 90 degrees. We know it's going to be a heat wave for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And it's a busy weekend. Well, I'm going to say standard of care. It's not going to get sued, but I tell you guys, let's load up on ice packs on the stand. We know, right? We start saying, hey, listen, be aware of heat exhaustion.
Let's get a couple extra water bottles at your stand.
Right.
For yourself, in case you need to use them in an emergency.
Right.
I don't know if this is like I know it's not standard, but I don't know if this is even recommended, but keeping sugar in your med kit for people with diabetes.
Well, yeah. What's the deal with that?
But is it good in the moment, or is it
Now, you don't have to have sugar. You know, you want to give them some juice. Here's the thing. First of all, you know, somebody's passed out on the beach. A lot of times there's a combination of things that's going on. They're diaphoretic, they're hypotensive, their blood pressure goes down, they're dehydrated, so they don't have a lot of volume of water, and they're hypoglycemic. A lot of times they were drinking all night. They may not be a diabetic.
Drinking all day.
They're drinking at night, and so their blood sugars are low. So you give somebody some cold water, or better, like some orange juice or something with sugar. It's not a bad idea. There's an argument. What if a diabetic, say, you know, they're a diabetic and they're passed out, sugars could be banging. It could be 600, 700, 800, and they could be going in what they call a diabetic coma. That's unlikely. And if you give them a little orange juice, you're not going to, you know, kill them. But when their blood sugars are very, very low, that's when it's really dangerous, and you want to err and give them sugar. So, I mean, I wouldn't have sugar on the beach, but I would try to give them a drink. If you have soda, something with sugar in it. If somebody on the beach is around, and you know, there's a little kid with a,
and if they're diabetic, they're likely going to have some type of candy bar or something.
Yeah, most. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, maybe not, but they might be passed out. But getting to Sean's point, you know, that's being prepared and understanding what could be out there. So yeah, you know, you could have a soft drink on it, but that's why you have officers, and we escalate things, and that's why I come down and we deal with the public, and I know I have a lot of ideas. I mean, I go through that in my mind real quick, and but
I think that's an important point that you just made about how when things start escalating, it's up to the next in the level of chain of command, because I think
honestly, though, this is a great segue to the third point on the list: supervision.
Yeah, supervision. Right. Supervision.
By the way, I touched on preventative lifeguarding before we got on the list too.
Right.
There you go.
So, but just that's really important. Like, I feel like a lot of people think that, you know, someone breaks their leg and it's up to like a 16-year-old to like go deal with that. It's like no steps are going to be taken until someone who's more qualified shows up at the scene and makes the decision to move that process along.
I had a family I responded to one time, and none of them spoke English. They were all speaking Spanish, and I'm not that fluent in the language. And nobody's giving me like any indication of what's wrong. There's a girl crying, and her little brother picks up her arm, and her arm bends downward with her palm up.
Ooh.
So it just like elbow broken. Kachmar, you actually responded to it and put her arm in a brace.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why when you talk about standard of care, you have to have supervisors. If you throw two lifeguards out there and they're all by themselves, or I mean, you can't. You have to think about things are going to escalate. Things are going to get bad, and you need to have people who are going to come down and bring secondary equipment, secondary knowledge, and expertise. So that's why I said about that. We talked about it last week, where you had the rescue where there's three people, you know, in trouble, and they're each further out. You know, you go for the furthest one out, and hoping that your fellow lifeguards follow you behind you. So there's a supervisional thing. That's why I tried not to get involved in the rescues. I sit and supervise you guys and tell you go here, go there, go there, and I try to keep a cool head and move everything. So, you know, negligent or not being a standard of care is not having supervisors. You know.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next one, Tyler. What's the next thing after? And these are, like I said, there's a great webpage. What was the name of that webpage where we got this from? What was it called? Lifeguarding.com or Life?
Dorkins was the man's name. But
yeah, it's a webpage. We have to dig it up. What's the next one? Can you?
Distractions.
So that's it. That's another good one. So again, this is all about talking stuff that we know already intuitively, but we're putting in writing here. So distractions. What does that mean? Well, I'll ask you, Tyler. Are you allowed to have your cell phone on the stand?
No.
Why not?
Because it's a
this
distraction.
This is not common practice, though. But we do.
No.
This is what we do.
No. This, you know, you make a good point. Like right. It's not common. But we worry about you on the phone, texting, talking to somebody, and then somebody drowns. So that's a big distraction. Now I know some other beach trolls, they say, listen, if you're on your phone, and you get one warning, and then after that you get fired. So get what you're gonna say.
The standard of care website that we're taking some of our information from is Life Saving Resources owned by Gerald M. Dworkin.
Is there what like a lifeguarding.com? Is there a
Yeah,
.com?
lifesaving.com is the website.
Good journalism,
Lifesaving.com. So great resource. And I know they have courses for people. So let's talk about this distraction a little bit. I want to move the show along. Distractions, the phone, distractions. And this is another thing.
Could be beach patrons.
Yeah. And what do you mean by that?
People standing at, it could just be, knuckleheads standing at your stand asking you a million questions.
Mhm,
And,
mhm.
and like I said, when I, spoke about like patience before, there is like a line there, but like, you don't want to just like tell the guy to go scratch and then have him like ignore you for the rest of the day. So you have to be able to be like polite and patient, but also like move people along. Like I have a job to do. You can't talk to everybody that comes
Treat
to
them
stand
with
for 10 minutes.
Treat them with
Right.
the aloha.
Treat them with the aloha.
Right. So when I talk about standard of care, if you deviate from standard of care in medicine, that could be called negligence. So what we're saying here is that, if you got your friend, whoever your friend is, on the bottom of the stand, like, and you're talking for, 15, 20 minutes about what guys did last night, and there's a little kid in trouble or drowns, that's negligence. You were distracted and you shouldn't have been doing that. And that's not,
that's a big mistake.
And that's a big mistake. And that's a lot of levels. First of all, I don't allow that. You guys know, I'll call you out on it. And if I see anybody down there for too long, so distractions, somebody at the stand, distractions also could be things like between the two stands. What could be a distraction, Tyler, between the two stands that,
well, there's a few examples. You could have those big tents. I hate those big tents with the poles.
Right. Why though? Why?
You
Did
want
you
to
have a bad experience one day in the tent? I mean,
Traumatized.
I do.
Were you traumatized?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I did see something pretty gruesome involving one of those tents. You guys will allow me to elaborate on that.
I don't know.
a
On the
little bit,
beach?
but yeah, on the beach.
Really?
But I mean,
it blew down and hit somebody? I've seen that.
Okay,
so
I'll
what?
expand on that.
But how is it a
but
distraction? How is it a
yeah,
distraction? That's the key.
If you're sitting on your lifeguard stand and there's one of those big tents or a tall umbrella, or anything for that matter that blocks your line of sight, whether it's to the next lifeguard stand, 2 lifeguard stands down, or the water line, that can be a big problem. And what you need to do is you need to get off your lifeguard stand and jog over there and go take care of it.
Right.
Go talk to the people and ask them to move it.
Right. So stand. But another thing too is.
Do you guys want to hear my story though?
Okay, let's hear your story.
Were they finagling in the tent or not?
Okay, what happened? Give us the story.
Just umbrella pole. Like it was one of those thick, like it was like the square metal, and it was like
not
an
what I
umbrella
expected
pole.
at all.
And the wind just picked it up and just dropped it right through this lady's Achilles, like clean.
Oh
through.
yeah.
Boom, out the other side, like 6 inches.
Yeah. Well, they can be dangerous too.
And standard of care, like what do we do there?
Well, some
stabilize it and just like don't touch it. You really have to wait till like the authorities get there to deal with it.
No. Well, I'm there. I take care of it. What you do something like that is, you mobilize it. You put compression on if she's bleeding. You stabilize the patient. You get on the radio and you call for assistance. You got to let us know on the radio what the situation is. You know that, Tyler. I got a woman here.
Obviously, I know that.
But the other thing, distraction too, is like kids playing in front of the stand. Is not good. You got kids playing around. You got we have ropes, and I did a video about it. So we have crowd control ropes that we put from the front of our stands to the sides to the back, and we keep all the patrons out of that area. That's our area. And in case we have to have a rescue, we use the ropes, bring the lines up, or a boat, or somebody passes out. Or has
it just
an
gives
injury.
us an area to operate.
An area.
When stuff is happening, instead, because people want to sit right next to the stands when they if they have the opportunity.
Right. So these are things that go under the line of distractions, and you could go on and on and on. What else is up there, Tyler? What's on our board? So I put them up there the other day. Can you read?
Looks like response and emergency care.
Okay, good. Well, that just dovetails what we're talking about. So. So not every lifeguard, first of all, we're not doctors. I'm a doctor on the beach, but we can only do so much on the beach. I'm not going to have an OR there.
You're not a doctor, Kachmar?
Yeah, I am. But I can't, we don't want to do a lot of stuff on the beach because we got to get into a hospital. That's the best place. Yeah. So let's just talk about the case that you talked about, the woman who had the thing. So let's just say you're a lifeguard on the beach and an umbrella or a tent or something blows down and actually punctures somebody, their leg, their arm, whatever. That's first of all, that could be a
That was
medical
a
emergency.
scene.
Well, it could be a medical emergency because it could, the artery could start bleeding. I could tell you this is a little advanced, and I do advanced cardiac life support, and I have advanced training. But you could put a tourniquet on. A tourniquet could save a lot of people's lives. I'm not going to tell you how to do it here, but there should be advanced people on the beach where if the lifeguard on the stand doesn't do that, there should be advanced personnel who are going to come down and do that. But one of the things
what's wild is she wasn't bleeding.
now it probably didn't hit any artery. I could operate on people that don't bleed.
She took it like a G, like totally stoic.
Yeah,
This like 60-year-old lady from England. It was like it was like her first day of vacation.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you were there when I had the guy with the broken neck. He was paralyzed, and he just
But didn't he make a full recovery?
No, I don't think so. But I don't know. But getting back to the the advanced care. There's tourniquets. You put compression on things. You stabilize the patient. If it's a broken arm or leg, we stabilize it. But again, it's about having the equipment. You want to have the braces. You want to have the ice packs. You want to have the AED. And not only how to use the backboard. Backboard is huge. So all of these things. So when we're talking about standard of care, people don't think it. If I go to a beach and you don't have that stuff there, and there's a bad outcome, you could be legally liable for not following the standard of care. Because I'm telling you right now, that's the standard of care. If you have a big beach, you should have a board, a backboard. You should have AED. You should have splints, and you should know how to use them and appropriately use them. Like I said, you guys, I don't expect. We anytime there's an emergency, I get called down. A lot of beaches have EMTs, which is great. We used to have them. It's hard to hire. It's hard to get an EMT who also is a lifeguard. So if you hire an EMT, they sit there up in the headquarters or wherever, and some days they're not needed or used at all. And if they're a lifeguard, they could do both duties. So it's kind of hard. But some beaches, they have this dedicated personnel who takes care of these emergencies. So it works out real well.
Well, as we're like kind of rounding off this discussion with like response, an emergency response, like procedures. It just swings all the way back to one of those first points you were making about personnel. If like doesn't matter if you have like the best equipment, if you don't have the best hires, if you don't have the right people with the right aloha doing the job,
well, you need people with training
and people that are going to stay calm under pressure. That's why I think athletes, for other than the obvious reasons, are really good hires, because you're used to
training,
performing and training when something's on the line, something less serious, albeit, but something on the line. Right.
Well, that's why we train all the time. That's why, we train to do broken necks. We train to swim. We train to do rescues. That's why I get training on the off season on advanced cardiac life support and advanced first aid response. So we all get the training. But that's the key. You got to keep going on and on and on and on, and be ready for that moment when it happens. So being prepared, training,
we have
personnel
one more on the list.
Yeah, let's go. So what's the last one?
Legal implications.
Okay, well that's it. Now that gets into a little discussion that we want to talk about, because this is a serious standard of care. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because there's been recently several drownings in our area, and we were talking in our last show about whether or not you should be on the beach or not. Should you have lifeguards on the beach? And we're a unique situation, because what happens, and I want to hold this liability idea on where we are in New Jersey. We start in, say, Memorial Weekend, and the season goes all year until used to be Labor Day, and then we're gone. A lot of beaches are gone. Why? Because people go to school. School teachers, the kids go back to college or high school. But here's the thing. The summer keeps on going.
Yeah.
we arbitrarily stop the summer at Labor Day, but the summer don't stop. And it keeps on it keeps on going. The water's still warm, the beautiful weather, and there's a lot of people still come down. And so now you have this situation, whatever you want to call it, like the situation on, in Seaside. What do you do? How do you keep the lifeguards out? Say, listen, swim at your own risk, and if you drown, you drown. Or do you set up a situation where you have lifeguards there, keeping people out of the water, maybe, and piggyback with police. So the liability, there's a lot of liability, and when we talk about liability, there's lifeguard personal liability, or the liability of the individual lifeguard, and that could be civil or criminal. There's two different things. Then the town or the entity you work for, their liability. And these things used to be that a lot of people, and I was just talking to a friend of mine, Rich, hopefully he'll call in at the end of the show. And he's under the impression, he hasn't been a lifeguard and hadn't been in doing it for 20 years, 30 years. He's under the impression, well, it's Good Samaritan law and you don't have to worry. And, if they're going to sue anybody, they're going to sue the town, even if you screwed up. Well, I'm not so sure anymore. I think if we're on the cell phone and a 2-year-old or 5-year-old kid drowned right in front of you, and especially if there's pictures of that, somebody else with a phone, I'm not so sure, I think at least you're going to probably get a civil suit and maybe even criminal. And to talk about that, I did a search on YouTube and I gave you guys the information. There was one kid in the pool. He was charged with manslaughter. He didn't follow the protocol. He's supposed to walk a certain amount of time, look a certain amount of time, the 30-second rule. And they charged him with manslaughter and negligence and other things. And it's not the only one. It seems like a lot of pool lifeguards are get charged. So that's why I'm banging
it's
about.
a difficult job in its own right. We've both done it, Sean and I.
Oh, the pool. Yeah, well, you guys,
Well,
Sean's doing it right now.
Yeah.
Sean was watching me swim,
Yeah.
And
I gotta watch you, Kachmar.
yeah, you gotta watch me, man. I was doing laps today with the boys. So see, we were but
keep a close eye on him as he swims.
yeah, have a heart attack, be down. So this liability. So the liability thing is interesting. So I want to break it into two things: lifeguard liability and the entity, the town, the city, whatever you want to call it. So let's just talk about the city. So they have this thing where they got this beach and they may have it. They may charge for it. They may not. And it may be what they use the terminology. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer, so don't anybody out there, don't laugh at me. But they use the terminology. It's a nuisance. It's a attractive nuisance.
The beach or someone drowning?
No, the beach. So in other words, what you do is and I don't know if I understand the terminology, but let's just say you're a town. We call it Kachmarville, and you have a beach. And you have the border there, you have the beach, and you have a festival, maybe not on the beach, but in the town, or you decide, Tyler, to open up a stand on the beach and sell umbrellas and lounge chairs and even boogie boards. Well, you're inviting people, so you're creating an attraction.
Yeah. So this says an attractive nuisance is something on your property that draws children in but threatens them with harm. So you're responsible for the harm caused, I believe, or like.
Well, yeah. So attractive nuisance. So what is it? What is the ocean? So what is the ocean? Is the ocean's an attractive nuisance? If you own the town,
the ocean's an attractive nuisance, though. You're right. Nobody is, but
according to that definition,
they own the beach though that it's on. So I don't know the terminology either.
No. Just think about what they just said with that. You have a pool.
Let me see that again.
Yeah.
Let's look at word for word.
Yeah.
Is something on your property that draws children in but threatens them with harm.
Okay, so you take away children.
It's really no one's property. The ocean is no one's property.
Yes, it is. The towns own the ocean. They own the property that you're walking on. Absolutely.
In front of the ocean.
Yeah, but they don't own the ocean, but you have access to it. And actually, if you look at, again, I'm splitting hairs here, but the towns own the water, like in Seaside or the bay. That's their property. They're responsible for it. And United States is responsible for 200 miles out. The thing, again, does it apply to attractive nuisance? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but
I feel like if you could make the claim or like get a lifeguard to say that it was a dangerous day for the ocean, that is kind of falling under this term of a dangerous attraction that could cause harm.
Well, it doesn't matter what so anyway, let's just talk about the town though. So the town, if they have events and they're there, they're creating, in my opinion, an attractive nuisance. It's an attraction. They're bringing people to that area. And so what should they do? They have, I think, some liability, not liability, but responsibility. So think about liability, responsibility to either have lifeguards there or shut the beach down or, have signs that warn people, dangerous ocean, don't go in or go in or go in at your own risk. But you have to do something. So a lot of towns, I've been reading that they say, well, you know what? We're not going to have anybody there. We'll put signs. And if anybody gets in trouble, we'll go after them. We'll get them. The problem with that is when somebody's in trouble, drowning, it's time sensitive. The time a rescue crew gets in the truck, gets down there, they're dead. They're gone. You need, I mean, how many times, I mean, we get going so quick. So I don't know if that's such a great answer. I think if you have a beach like ours or the surrounding towns, either you got to say to people, the beach is closed. You could go on a beach, but the water is, you don't swim at your own risk. You don't swim at all. If you go in, you're going to get a ticket. And another thing we could do is make people sign waivers, because they do that at the pools now, and that seems to somewhat help.
Someone handing out waivers at every.
Well, we do it at the
ramp?
pool. You say, yeah, again, I understand. Yes,
You
I
know?
understand it. When you buy the ticket, you got to, maybe that's what has to be done. So, but my point is,
Especially now, it could just
or
be
keep-
digital.
or-
This could be so much easier. You could, when you buy something online or through your phone, because that's how they bought stuff during COVID.
yeah,
You'd be agreeing to something.
Yeah, I
while
mean,
they
you
made
could
the
probably
purchase.
sign your life away a million times on like
Right.
the terms and conditions. People do
yeah.
it every
Right.
day.
right. But so I'm getting back is so the town has a certain, or the city has a certain responsibility, legal, moral. There's two different things there. I think that, if you're gonna, I know I could predict to a high degree of certainty that tell you, hey, listen, tomorrow it's hurricane surf. It's going to be a beautiful day, low tide, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You get people on the beach. You let them in the water without lifeguards. Somebody's going to drown. The odds are very, very high. We know that. As opposed to if it's like a lake ocean, probably nobody's going to get in trouble. So we can predict it. So it doesn't have to be coverage every day, but the town, and I'm throwing this out there, they should know that. Now, the next thing, so we could go, the last
Yeah.
show we talked about, we go on and on and on. But
Talking about dangerous surf, did you hear La Nina? The I don't even know honestly what it is, but I know of the terms La Nino and La Nina for weather.
it's the temperature of the ocean in the Pacific.
Did you? La Nina is affecting the East Coast this year or something.
Yeah, I'm not a real expert in it, but the water temperature in the I'm pretty sure it's in the Pacific, changes the whole pattern of the of the wind and the ocean currents, and it affects the storms if we have more storms, and if we have worse water.
Look up here.
So
The pattern
is-
is being referred to as a double dip because La Nina also
the
affected.
Pacific Ocean, right?
Well, this is East Coast. La Nina affected the East Coast last year, so they're calling it a double dip. I'm trying to find where it says what actually is La Nina.
Well, there's a picture of it. It's a weather change, which then would manifest into more storms and then manifest into worse ocean. More hurricanes. Here's the thing: we get more hurricanes. In our area, what makes waves and what makes the ocean dangerous? See, I think this is worth to mention, because you make a good point. Water, there's days where the water is dangerous, and I try to teach you guys. Why one day you don't even need lifeguards, the other day people just are drowning left and right, and it's not just because they're lousy swimmers. You have situations where the water gets really dangerous. I call it dangerous water. And we know that intuitively. You get enough experience, you know when it's going to be dangerous. What causes that? It's the surf, it's the waves. The bigger the ocean, the more trouble you have. Of course, high tide, low tide, the winds, but it's the energy in the ocean. It's the energy in the waves. And where do they come from? Usually storms. And the El Nino and the Nino, they tend to, one or the other generates more storms. You have more hurricanes, and then there go. If they come close enough to our coast, we have more problems. So so that's how you have to think about it. But let's just jump back now to the personal liability. So I want to ask you, Sean, because you talked about it, how much liability sitting on a lifeguard stand, like personal liability, do you feel, like now that we talked about standard of care, we follow the standard of care, and you know why?
Yeah, I've
But-
never really given any thought about the legal implications as we were trying to talk about, but like if you're on the stand, you're definitely worrying about people or of anyone that goes in. You're in charge of them, you're watching them
Right.
no matter what day it is or how the water looks or where they are in the water, but you're trying to be there for them.
Yeah. And again, if you're like the right person, that should really bother you.
Yeah.
The thought of losing someone should really bother you.
Right.
And if it
right.
doesn't, you should not be doing the job.
Right. So here's the thing, though. We talk about standard of care. What if you're sitting on a stand, there's no board there, or there's no snorkel, or there's no you don't have appropriate equipment, whistle or lifeguard stands. You can see how, your liability is meshed with the town and your boss or whoever's paying you, that you have to be well equipped. So we're just saying, hey, listen, if you're working on these beach patrols, you should be following USLA. And if the town is not, you got to open up your mouth and say, hey, listen, we want better equipment. We want it, this certain equipment. I think that as time's going on, and we're in different times now, I think you're going to see that more and more people are going to be holding these towns morally responsibility for people who drown if there's no lifeguards there, or no police or somebody, intervening. I don't agree with this thing. Let them swim at their own risk. And I've been like that for years and years and years. I have arguments with people left and right. I mean, it's, so but getting back to our personal liability, I didn't see too many cases where the lifeguards were criminally, not on the beach, criminally charged. I seen with pool, but I've seen civil cases. And you have something up there?
No,
Okay.
I was just agreeing. Like, I've known people, or we've talked about it in the past.
It's also a lot
Civil.
easier to be seen as like acting negligent at a pool because it's so controlled. There's so many less variables.
What do you mean?
Like
Give me.
if someone dies at a pool, it's pretty easy to figure out if the lifeguard was doing their job or not.
Yeah, because it's
On the
always
beach,
9 feet
there's
in this end. It's always 5 feet there. There's no rip currents.
Right? Like, so say,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Someone jumps in the pool jumps in the pool, right? Smacks their head against the bottom of the pool. Their neck is broken. Lifeguard gets them out. Whatever. There's a million different things that you could say the lifeguard messed up there. Like, why was the person allowed to dive in the pool? Why didn't you use these very specific standards to get this person out of the water? The list goes on and on and on. Same kind of thing happens at the beach. And what was the surf like? Just a million different questions to be asked, as opposed to at the pool. It's like, what the water at the pool is doing, what the lifeguard should be doing exactly. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that there's more cases of it.
Yeah.
At
So,
the pool. I'm not saying that the dude that breaks his neck at the beach is because of a negligent lifeguard.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's a lot harder to tell.
So
with those conditions.
Yeah. That's a good point. So
unfortunately, with like all the cameras happening in the world soon.
Oh yeah, you got
like
cameras
the
all over.
ability to like say like it was rough water, it wasn't rough water. It was coming into. You got a phone call?
Oh yeah, let's get this. This is one of our calls. Yeah, hang on, let me get this here. Hey, Rich, can you hear us? Let me get him here. Hang on.
Technical difficulties.
Nah, we get it. Hey, Rich, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Doc?
Good. You're live. We were waiting for the phone call. We were just talking about liability. Let me introduce you, okay? Because we have two lifeguards here who don't know who you are. So, and to the audience, we have. I asked Rich Bishop, who was a lieutenant in the Seaside Beach Patrol many years ago, to call in. Can you hear? Can you hear me, Rich? Pretty well.
Yes, I hear you fine.
Good. So we hear you. So anyway, why don't you introduce yourself, what your expertise was or is, and then we bring you into the conversation.
I lifeguard in Seaside Heights. I started in 1975, and Captain John was there, obviously. I worked down the North End. I sat Herring Avenue for about 5 years under the direction of Bob Omart, who was a lieutenant at the time. I got out of lifeguarding for a while because I was raising a family, needed to make more money. I came back to lifeguard, in fact, 1986 or 87, and I worked for Captain Joe Gamolka down in Seaside Park for 4 years, part-time. And then when an opening happened in 1990, under then Captain Al Ayers, I started as a lieutenant, along with Dr. Ditchkis, Sam Britton, Al Ayers, and myself. They were the only officers at the time. And I worked till 1997. And in 1995, I went to EMT school and became emergency medical technician for the beaches for 3 years.
I remember that.
And Triborough First Aid, I worked, I volunteered for 3 years part-time with them. And after 97, it was time to move on. And, my heart's always always has
Well-
Seaside Heights Beach Patrol.
Well, I remember when you got your EMT and you set up your EMT box, or what your he had this big box, and God forbid you touched it. He had everything in there. Remember that, Rich? God forbid.
Yeah.
I mean, I went in there to get a Band-Aid, like, so I'm going to tell the story about that. So he had this, so Rich, was very well organized. There was everything in there. The Band-Aids were one section, and the ice packs and the gauze, right? So, and we had this, and he have it, we had an ATV all set up for the EMT. Rich would take the ATV and go down to the spot. And the box was, it was a big container. What would you call it? Case, and it was on the back of the ATV strapped in, right? So back in those days, we used to be able to run between the piers. If people who don't know and they can't see it, but we have two beaches. They're almost, 3/4 mile long. And between it is this huge pier. And we used to be able to drive the ATVs through the pier, underneath the pier, to get to the other side for an emergency. Remember, Rich? And,
Absolutely.
right. So what happened one day, there was a new kid on the beach, and he was kind of like a little bit shaky, like he could break a rock, basically. He could break it. No, he's just sloppy, didn't take care of anything. One of those kind of people.
Okay.
So he took there was an emergency, and Rich wasn't around. He took your ATV and he went through the pier, and then whatever was going on, when he came back, right, I noticed that the box wasn't on the back anymore. So I said to the kid, I said, "What happened to the box?" And he's like, "I don't know." Right. So you probably don't remember this, Reed. So I theorized that it probably got, something happened, fell off. So we go into the pier and we found this box. And what I guess what happens when the kid was riding the ATV, it hit one of the pilings, because there's all pilings there, and ripped the box off. But the pilings have all like tar on them and everything. So the box was all smashed, all over the place. It was, I don't know if you remember that, Reed. That was pretty bad. You were very upset that day. Your stuff got.
Hey, it wasn't my stuff. It was the borough of Seaside Heights.
So we're talking about how you've been watching, following the show at all.
I just got on. I was out, taking care of business, cutting the grass, and enjoying the Tennessee sunshine down here.
Yeah.
And we don't have any waves here, Mike. We just have a 33-mile long lake, and which is beautiful.
Are there lifeguards?
Gorgeous.
Are there lifeguards on the lake out there, Rich?
No.
So swim at your own risk then.
Everything here in Tennessee is swim at your own risk. I mean, basically, it's just a totally different world here from New Jersey.
Yeah, but you don't get. I mean, it's a lake, so you're not getting rip currents and stuff like that. I mean, it should be pretty.
There's one strong current. I mean, it's basically people go out in their boats and they raft off, and you swim. When I say swim, they float around. There's no swim.
They float around. Yeah. So the years we were talking about liability, and standard of care and having equipment on the beach and being well prepared. Now we follow USLA guidelines. But how about when you were working? What was your perception of the liability that you were under? Did you feel you had any liability or no liability? Because that's like topic today, liability. These young kids today, I think, are feeling more and more concerned about liability, but also safety for their own selves. Kid got hit by lightning, a kid, got killed with a boat. But what was your feeling back then of liability? Did you have any sense?
I think we had tremendous sense of liability and caring and doing the right thing and doing the best we can. I mean, when I was there in Captain John, under him, you didn't want to make a mistake with that guy, because he had a way of making you feel about very, very small. He was tough, and he taught us a lot, as you know, because you and I worked together for years. And the point is, you didn't want to mess up. He was a scary dude.
Sorry for cutting you off. My name's Tyler.
Sure.
It's nice to meet you. I'm a 8-year lifeguard in Seaside Heights.
Tyler, I saw you on I watched the second session of Dr. Kachmar's program last night. So I see both you gentlemen up there. And
hopefully we didn't make fools of ourselves. First of all, thank you for talking to us. But you mentioned he was the old captain was kind of hard on you guys. How important was that for you guys as a group back then?
Yeah, it was good for us. I mean, it's hard when you're young, and you guys have experience. If you have 8 years and you already know the job. It's the new kids starting out the first year, the second year. They're young. They don't really understand about things that need to be done, and the severity of the job, how tough of the job it is, and how much you need to know. And like I did see a few minutes before, where you were talking about the variables that go into becoming a lifeguard, and you just never know what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. At times, you couldn't stand the guy. You're afraid to call in and ask to go to the bathroom, because sometimes they'd say no. If we had bad water or something.
Mm-hmm.
But you look back on all that, and it really shaped the way many of us turned out. Most of the guys, 99% of them, all turned out to be successful in what they did, and they were disciplined. And in addition, we really knew how to have a good time.
Right.
So,
right. Right. So
it was a great experience.
Right. But here, let me say something about John Boyd, because John, you got to remember, we talked about Hawaii, and a lot of the way the beach was set up back in the day was these guys who came back from war. So John Boyd was a air sea rescue captain. His brother, Joe Boyd, was a fighter pilot in World War II. And so, he ran that beach like it was a military operation. We remember we had to have our hair. You couldn't. Oh, is that the crazy dog?
That's my crazy dog.
So yeah, we're trying to be professional here, Rich. I mean, this is got a dog in the background. So he
going out in the garage.
Yeah, get rid of that dog. What's the dog's name, by the way?
We have Bogey and we have Lexi.
That's Shishan.
Her dog.
So, well, I always say, if somebody who has an animal lovers are definitely good people. So, but I want to make this point about John. We had to have our hair cut short. And I started in 1977. Vietnam War. You had long hair. I used to go out to the bar, wherever I go, and the girls would go like, "Oh, you were narc, cop, or I was or you in the army?" And I go, "No, I was a lifeguard." They're like, "A lifeguard? What's wrong? Why are you wearing your hair like that?" Remember, I used to get a haircut, and I'd go in the morning, and John used to smoke the cigar, and he'd go, "Kachmar," he goes, "Go get a haircut." I go, "Cap, I just got one yesterday." He goes, "Well, go get another one." right, Reed. So,
yes.
But the way they ran it was because of their military, what's the word I want to use? Background, yeah.
Upbringing.
So, upbringing, because they that's how they did it. So they were tough, and we were very disciplined. We acted back in those days. We worked 7 days a week. I know people can't believe that. I mean, it was no lie. Tell them about that, Reed. I mean, how it was no, what kind of lunch did we have?
Snappy. Make a snappy lunch. It was 9 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's the way it was. No, let's see. My first year, I got 1 day off. My second year, I got 1 day off, and you sat out there from 9 to 6.
Yeah, that's not us, man. That's not us these days.
9 to 6. You guys don't know. And I remember,
lucky, huh?
So we had a half-hour lunch. Reed, remember? That's all you had was a half hour.
Yeah.
So, and if it was a big ocean, it would snappy. So maybe 15 minutes. So let me just tell you how it works now on our beach and a lot of beaches. We start at 9 o'clock. The guys get on a stand, right?
10 o'clock.
Well, 10 o'clock, but during the weekend, let's just say 9 o'clock. And they work out until 11. Okay. So and they take turns. It's one guy on a stand. Then they have lunch. The first guy or gal, first lifeguard, 45 minutes from 11 to 11:45. Second guard from 11:45 to 12:30. Then they go back on a stand. Then at 3 o'clock, they get another half-hour break, each one of them. How do you like that, Reed?
That's nice.
That's nice, huh?
Yeah.
Real nice.
Yeah.
Well, they deserve that, and just because it was done that way back in the Paleolithic age doesn't mean that you can't improve on the way things are.
Can I say how much I appreciate you saying that?
Yeah, that was great.
Seriously. No, because like I feel like, and this could just be with like this could just be a perception because you just said this and you are someone from like, a time past on the beach patrol, but like, oh, you guys, you get all these breaks and like, you you're not pushed as hard as like the old cap pushed you. And it's like, you know, the times are new, and like we're figuring this out as we go along. And you definitely want us to be like getting those breaks from being in the sun. So
Yeah, skin cancer is a problem.
Absolutely.
skin cancer is like a problem. Yeah, you want to get out of the sun.
Yeah.
Go get some water.
Yeah, in fact, I know right now I'm 67 years old, so the point is I've already had skin cancer, the burned skin cancer off my face. I've had some procedures done, the purple light they call it, dermatology-wise. And it's all a result of sitting in the sun. And back then, we had like nothing to really protect us. We had a copper tone, which didn't really work.
Copper tone, yeah,
you know,
really.
Probably doing quite the opposite, right?
Yeah, some stuff they put on our lips that basically your lips just melted off and bled. And, all kinds of things like that. And so, you know, the improvements made over the years are unbelievable. So, I mean, I look like Casper, the ghost, going around anymore. I can't. I have to cover up with this stuff called blue lizard from Australia.
Fully white face.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. And all that, is, according to dermatologists, a result of sitting in the sun and baking. And there's several of us older guys that are really paying the price now, you know.
You know, I like the
It's a good point.
I like the point you made about like improving things over time. And that's, you know, there's a lot of parts of our job that have been steadily improved on throughout the years.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, Reed, that makes a good point because you know, you think about just taking a break to get, you know, just to get, because you're tired or not watching the water, so like an air traffic controller. But that's a good point you bring up. You're getting out too to get less exposure to the sun. And also we have our headquarters now, Reed, they're all air conditioned. So you go in there and it's pretty cool. In fact, these kids, sometimes it's too cold.
I couldn't even imagine not having air conditioning.
Right. Can you read? Can you love that? I mean, they come, they have
End.
air conditioning headquarters.
I know that's a good thing. I remember 1990, they still had the old North End shack, and we sat up in that thing, and you know, it was hot, it was small, it was smelly, it was nasty, and you know how it is, and it's the way it was, and it was a job, you know, it's a good job, great job.
Well, we
There's
need
always room for improvement.
We need to have a cold room too to bring patients. I call them patients, but patrons off the beach. So if we have somebody with heat exhaustion, we'll get them up to the headquarters in the cool room. You know, obviously it's shaded, and we give them something to drink. So we need to have it from a standpoint of taking care of of our patrons, not only and also the lifeguards. But we have that. We got, you know, the showers. But I think you make a good point, Reed. You know, that's I agree. I'm glad that you brought that up. That and then also Tyler, that you got to get out of the sun because it's less exposure, probably less skin damage. We have free. Not that it's I don't know if it's the best stuff, but we have tons of suntan lotion. And I tell all these guys, all of us, Reed, we have a routine. We all really put a lot of suntan lotion on before we go out, even to work out. And these guys all got a lot of this stuff on their faces. They actually kind of make a what's the word I want to use? They do it's almost like makeup. They put different colors.
Are you talking about the zinc on her face?
Yeah. They put it like, you know, they look like Indians. They look like they're going into battle. You know, they
like red, white, and blue on 4th of July.
Yeah.
They put red. So they put it all over their faces, their noses. We don't give them a hard time. I think it's kind of, you know, I think it's pretty neat. And I think it's, you know, I think if you do that, the public doesn't feel as, you know, foolish putting it on themselves. You know, you got lifeguards walking around, you know, your old typical white nose, but they have different colors now, and it's pretty neat. So,
well, does that mean all these guys look that good when you go to Spicy's on Sunday night, Doc?
I've been to Spicy's with the zinc still on my face.
Yeah. That stuff's hard to get
It's
off.
hard to get off, especially when you get the dark colors like purple or blue. You'll be in the shower just scrubbing, and you get out, and it's still on your face.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
That's
I look like I got punched in the nose now, but
Yeah, we
Well, that's good. You're protecting yourself, because when you get older, you know, you're going to wind up. You could not saying there's a possibility to have a lot of serious sun damage, and it's when you get older where you pay the price.
Well, and it's great. That's why we give every lifeguard stand has an umbrella. We have umbrellas that we give them for free. Obviously, we encourage them to use the umbrellas for the sun. I you know, when I go sit on there and do lunches, I put the umbrella up. We give, and then also I'm trying to get, I think we should be buying these guys sunglasses. You can get them
Right.
from the vendors for pretty cheap. So, sunglasses, because you could get cataracts if you don't wear sunglasses and with the sun. And like you said, the umbrella, the suntan, we give that. I mean, the lotion we give out. So we were talking about before, Reed, is about equipment, and this is where, standard of care now is, you talk about liability. We talk about somebody drowning, but what about a lifeguard? We talk about lifeguards getting injured. What if you don't give the lifeguards, the right equipment, umbrella, suntan lotion? I'm not going to say they're going to develop skin cancer short term, but the long term. So we're not doing the best for our employees, and that should be something that is brought out. And I think that's a great concept that you're talking about.
Yes, and the training. I did read that article about the young boy that was killed down there in Cape May with the life, surf boat. And we all know we've all been flipped in them, and certain circumstances where you could have been killed, and it's just by the grace of God, nothing ever happened to us. But it all comes down to training, and it's your responsibility to train those young guys to stay safe.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that training. What did you think about that? I mean, I don't want to put any blame out, but like the whole thing. I mean, we've been around boats all our lives. We flipped them. I've never heard of anybody getting killed. Have you over the years?
No. I think one guy at the beach patrol got hurt with it, fell on his leg, boat flipped on his leg. I think it was Dr. McNeil, if I recall, and he got a huge gash, and he was so tough and strong it didn't break his leg. I think anybody else would have snapped the guy's leg off.
Well, I've had a boat drop on my leg. It came pretty close to breaking. It's not fun.
I'll tell you what, I could tell you, I've treated 2 or 3 patients over the years, lifeguards who had boats hit their shin and then they got an infection. And one was Steve Noose. I remember he came in, Steve passed, he didn't pass away from that, but he passed. But Steve had a huge hematoma and it was infected. I had to drain it. And another, I shouldn't use the names, I'm sorry. But we had another lifeguard who recently, it was only about 2-3 years ago, had an abscess, and he was hospitalized actually for the boat hit him. So, I mean, but that's kind of like, usually you get a cut and it heals up and that's it. So, but you never heard, I don't think anybody ever all the tournaments, and I've heard lifeguards get killed in tournaments in, say, Australia, when there's big ocean, 10-foot swells, 15-foot swells, stuff like that, that's, right. And they're getting thrown around, into the rocks. So
never heard anybody get killed as far as until this summer.
Now, we're all saying it's a freak accident. It happens. I think the kid down there, they train those lifeguards really well with the boat. So I'm not so sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not so sure it had anything to do with the, lack of training. Hey, listen, sometimes you get these freak things. It happens. And, but here's the thing, Reed, this year, 2 lifeguards died in the line of duty, which is, that's significance just is, you have to stop and sit and think about that, I mean, you got to,
right.
And the kid, we talked about the one in the lifeguard stand. I don't think he was on the lifeguard stand, it was metal or not, but they say, I don't know if these guys, were you there that day? Any of you guys there?
I was working that day. Yeah.
Right. Well, did you say that the lightning went sideways? Where was all the clouds?
No,
north?
The clouds were north of Seaside Heights. And this
about how far north? You say about a mile, maybe something like that.
Of Seaside Heights, but then this was farther down towards IBSP. So
another mile.
Another mile essentially.
And did you have blue skies when the lightning bolt hit?
Not us, but they clearly had blue skies. Like I don't even know where it came from, but it was lightning came out of nowhere.
Wow. And so we don't know if he was. We're here. In the paper it said he was on a stand. Read we read other things that he was sitting next to the stand, but there's a lot of metal stands around, so I'm not so sure. I mean, think about the California. I don't know those towers. I mean, I don't think they're made out of fiberglass. Maybe there's some metal on them, but they're pretty high. And I don't know if they get hit. I don't know. We have to do a little research on that. So yeah, we can find out. So listen, Reed, thanks. Listen, Rich, I call you Reed. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
No worries. Nice show. It's nice to have two Seaside Heights finest there. It's good that you have some experience up on that beach, and you take care of yourself, and give me a call when you want to come down or buy a boat or something like that.
Yeah, when I come down here and do some.
Hey, make sure you visit the North End when you come back to Seaside.
Yeah, there's a possibility I'll get up there this summer.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta come. Yeah, you should come visit
When I
these
say
guys.
this summer, I mean next summer. It'll be next summer, but yeah, I get up there to see the children and the grandkids, and who I'm really dating myself when you say grandkids. But yeah, it's always a time thing, you know. You run around like a chicken with a head cut off. You want to see them. You want to see a million guys and people you know, and you just run out of time sometimes.
Rick, I got a shirt on that I think you'd think is really cool. It's a 1997 officer.
Hang on. See, show them the show. Show them the show. Show them the shirt.
Long
Can you
sleeve
see it, Rich?
turtleneck, white shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Before we sign off, I was thinking about you the other day. Actually, I called you to ask you about the show to come on. But remember the long runs we used to do? We used to do like 10-mile. What were those runs we used to do in the wintertime? How far did we used to run? I mean, remember we used to go in the trails?
Oh yeah, we go 10 to 12 miles.
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah. We used to run. Yeah, I mean, we used to train, man. And there was only a few guys who would run. Remember, we go out, we go in the pine barrens and just run. This is kind of like soft sand, and it's nice because you're protected if there was snow or it was cold, you know. And we used to just, oh man, we used to run and run and run. Yeah, we were. Yeah, so I
you never even get winded. You never even get out of wind, you know, out of breath. And I'm sitting there stuck in wind, and we're going like our 11th mile.
Oh, don't gas him up. Don't gas him up.
I don't need this.
And I'm like hanging on, and
he already talks enough smack during our. I can't get him to shut up when we run together.
jabber jaw.
Yeah, well, listen, you know, I was talking to a guy from Sandy Hook. He works out with us in the morning. And we were talking about training, you know, and what we used to do because we're breaking down now. We can't, I can't run 10 miles anymore. I can't do, 3,000 yards in the pool, you know, like we used to train. And, we're missing it. And the training we do now is probably what most normal people do, just, but the level of training we did. So, but it was good. But anyway, listen, it was some of the best years working with you. We still communicate. We talk all the time. And that's the thing about lifeguarding. You create lifelong friends, and you'll even after it's done, and we still have fond memories. And we could go on and on about stories, but we got to end this because we're going on to an hour now, so we're going to end the show soon. So listen, thank you very much for calling, and we'll get you on the show again.
Sounds good. Nice talking to you, gentlemen.
All right,
Pleasure to talk to you.
Take care, Rich. All right, bye bye.
I think that was a brotherhood. That's a really important thing that a lot of us talk about all the time, and that got mentioned in the 100 Years on the Beach.
Yeah,
you know, like fraternity. A lot of the younger guys are like, "Oh, I'm pledging for a fraternity this year in college." I'm like, "Dude, you already have your frat."
We used to go down, a bunch of us, and compete down in Florida. It was many years ago, and Joe Casino from Lavalette and I'd go down. And they would invite us some of our, Skip Jerriston was down there. So there's some lifeguards down there that we knew, and they would get us into the tournament. And these are, because their season is coming up now. And we would, and here's my point about it. You go in, we go down there and we were accepted because we were brothers. They knew exactly what we knew, what we did. You could start talking about stories about the rescue, the non-swimmer, the rip, the this, the that, and it was really, just like that. I've been in different places in the world. I'll go up to the lifeguard stand. I'll talk to the lifeguard, and all of a sudden,
you're speaking the same language.
You have, there's that camaraderie, that commonality, like you said, that brotherhood.
That's what we're trying to do with this. Basically, we're trying to get them all and to talk about the camaraderie.
Let's share our stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, as time goes on with the show, more and more people will find out about it. More and more people will come on. We have. Can you throw out our email, Sean, for me, please? Throw the email out there. So,
Kachmar, I have an idea.
So here's our email right now. Hang on. So if you guys want to contact us, get on the show. We have a couple ways to get on the show. You could call in like Rich did, or you could actually come to the studio if you're local, but you could also, we could have you on sort of like a Zoom, because we don't use Zoom though. We send you a link. If you give us your email, we could send you a link and we could see you right on the screen here and you could talk to us.
Send us an email. Tell us what you want to talk about. Share your story a little bit. Tell us who you are. We'd love to have anybody anybody on who has
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
interesting to talk
yeah,
about in
yeah.
regards to this topic or pretty
Yeah,
much
we'll-
all ocean related topics. You know, we're curious people. So
Right. Well, we'll take advice and we'll give advice.
yeah, for sure.
What was it? What else? Did you
Oh,
wanna
so
say?
I have an idea. This is way off topic, but I want to next summer start like an independent tournament team
Yeah,
and
well,
like go compete like up and down the coast.
well, this is see. You
I
got to
want you
understand.
to be the coach.
Right. Well, here's the thing. What you got to understand is that most beach patrols have competition teams, so they don't know what you're talking about. Seaside Heights, we don't compete. We've never competed. So a lot of the kids, because and there's a lot of reasons for that, and we've been trying to change the paradigm. So that's why he's saying that. But I'd probably say, Tyler, probably 90% of the beach patrols out there, especially around here, have tournament teams, and they do it all the
Well,
time.
any great athletes whose beach patrols don't compete, shoot us an email there, and
Yeah.
we'll get you a tryout.
Yeah. So anyway, but we, and a lot of these people who have beach patrols, it's all about the training, and that's one thing that I think our beach was so busy and so big that they didn't have they just didn't want to do it. It distracts. Let's put it this way: to have a tournament team, to have competition, you need a lot more lifeguards. It takes a lot. It takes a lot from the beach patrol. And you got to be training and things like that. So anyway, but I just want to make sure you understand that, Tyler. A lot of beach patrols, they have it already. So,
oh yeah, I know, but we don't. And I think
well, I've been pushing. I think what I want to do is have a Van Dyne rowing race.
yeah.
Van Dynes are the local boat here. We were talking about that today, and they have one in the bay. It's really hot, and it's a long. I want
5 miles. Right?
Yeah, I just want to have like a 2-mile open ocean
sprint.
Van Dyne. I don't care unless the ocean's like so bad, and that's what I'd like to do. But anyway, so listen, I think we're a little over an hour now. I'd like to start, saying goodbye to everybody.
Let's see that video.
Listen. You want to watch?
Are we gonna try this?
No, but where's the one video from?
Yeah,
this,
let's go.
the swim one. That's how long is that video?
The swim one?
No, the
you
one-
want me to try to pull
The
that
one
up?
that I
vote-
had
I
the
vote-
rescue.
I
the
vote
rescue.
Battle of the Boats.
Nah, that's too. How long?
Vote in the
I have no
comments.
idea.
Lord Jeremy, help us out. Which one do you want to see?
No,
Battle
go,
of the Boats.
go to the where it says new. Where it says new. Right over here where it says new. Down, all the way down. No, right there. Hit that. Go to top.
I think
local
Jeremy
video.
votes for swimming.
Go to
anyway.
the see, I don't know. I had it all. I think it's the first one. You just throw that up there real quick. Let's see. No, it's not coming now. I don't know.
There
Oh,
we go.
there you go.
Oh, so you can keep that one up there.
We got two guys caught in a little bit of a rip.
Thanks.
They're on
Yeah,
boogie
go ahead.
boards,
So-
trying to get in.
I can't. It's
You can't hear it? It's on the TV.
no, that's not. So you have to switch it to go. Yeah.
Yeah, but we can
Jeremy,
hear
how's the
it.
audio?
No, they're not
coming
going to hear
through?
it. They're not going to hear it. If we don't hear it, they don't hear it. You
Okay.
so what happened was, sorry guys for technical. You got to go back into the computer, go to sounds, and put the roadcaster's output. So just go up to sounds. Go up to preferences, sounds.
I think this is something that we might want
Yeah.
to finish.
I
sorting out off
I tell you
air.
what, I has to be roadcaster.
Okay.
I did it on the program, guys. I'm sorry for everybody. This is live. This is why it's live TV. I did it on the Restream program, in and out, and I thought that was enough. But I obviously, so let's put it now. Hit it again. Let's see what
All
happens.
right, one more try.
There we go. So this is. So we'll comment and we'll leave with this. This is I'm on the stand.
They're taking their stuff off, getting ready.
Listen to it.
for the rescue.
Is this you talking?
Yes, good.
We're looking down the beach. There's two people out in the water, far out in deep water. From this angle, you can't really see it. It's a rip, but it is a rip current.
Listen.
They're on boogie boards, right? Yeah, they're like. Yeah, they're trying. We're rolling.
So when you have a boogie board,
They're running
makes
out
it
of
a lot
gas.
easier
This is
to get
great
pulled out
teaching. So they're
in a
running out
rip
of
current.
gas. They like. I
A
don't know where
lot
their boards are
easier.
now. I mean, no, it's their water. It's their water. They're going down. Yeah, they should be. They're pretty close.
The
Put
lifeguards
the binos on them.
Ran down.
Put a pair of binos.
are entering the water.
So there goes the cover. Lifeguard running down. It's a great video. I'm sorry for the. Next summer we'll get better with this, guys.
Yeah, we're still learning.
It's like a mile away. You can't see it, but that's just good though. So there's a cover. the one stand south of us went out for the people on the boogie board. They almost made it in, and they couldn't get in. And then the lifeguards rotated down, and so
I think something that's
see-
worth pointing out is not every rescue is necessarily like in the moment that it's going down, life and death.
Yeah,
A lot of the
you wanna
times
get
we're
it
going in the
before that.
water to avoid that
Everybody
happening. It's
tighten
like,
up the water,
you know, and
tighten up the
even
water.
those people
Rescue
might have
this,
fought their
tighten
way
up
in,
the water.
but like, are we really just gonna sit and let them suffer like that? You know?
Well, the other thing too is, listen, I've done hundreds and hundreds of rescues. I would say at least half the rescues, they would have got in on their own. They would have got pushed in. They would have made it eventually.
Yeah.
You know, but there's more the other half where they were dead if I didn't get it. You know, I mean, they were done. So, you can't. And you're absolutely right. How long are you gonna let them suffer? They could have a heart attack. They could be a diabetic. They could a lot of things.
We don't really have the luxury of waiting that out.
No. But that was a good. So anyway, I think we should end the show. So I'm gonna
Watch Battle of the Boats next week.
We'll
I
watch
guess.
that. So
Watching Battle of the Boats next week. You heard it here first.
Tyler, you want to say
Follow us,
how
lg.association.
about put it? Yeah.
We actually are moving a lot of the lifeguard or all of the lifeguard content over to a different YouTube channel. It's called Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar.
Well, we're streaming on that now.
This video is streaming on there right now. If you're watching it on the doctor stream, everything's going to be moved over there by next week. We got a lot of cool plans and a lot of cool stuff we're trying to do. A lot of cool people we're trying to talk to, and we're excited to keep moving forward.
Right. I think that they'll see that it'll be, we have 2 YouTube video
Make
channels.
sure you subscribe, follow that
Right.
Instagram.
That's the key.
We're gonna be giving updates and stuff like that through those channels. And it's only gonna help us out if you guys do that. I know it's like corny to ask to like and subscribe, but that's what we need.
No, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then this way, when we go live, you'll get notified. Also, subscribe to the Facebook. We're on Facebook. We have Lifeguards Off Duty Facebook, and we have Lifeguard. We have Scrubbing Up with Kachmar. But get on Facebook, get on YouTube, give us likes, and also subscribe so you're alerted. This email right here will eventually change, but this is the email to get contact with us. So we need help from you guys.
The email is drkachmar Dr. Kachmar @icloud.com.
Right, and that's for our podcast. Thank you, Sean. I wasn't thinking about that. Appreciate it.
Share your stories with us, guys. We're so interested in
what
any lifeguard has to say.
Right.
If you think something we said is stupid, please email us.
Tell us.
Please correct us.
Right.
We'll tell you you're wrong.
It's all about this. It's all about this like sharing of information, and we all learn from each other.
Right. And that's good. That's good for our podcast people. So again, that's drkachmar @icloud.com. And
the first
email.
The first ever lifeguard tournament was held in Australia in like the 1950s, and a bunch of California guards flew out there. And at that point, Australia was one of the authorities on lifeguarding. And by the time the Australians or the Californians left, these like LA County lifeguards, some of their practices had become standard practice in Australia. It was actually, they had a tournament during the 56 Summer Olympic Games. It's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how accurate, because I know people in
one of the first lifeguard tournaments.
Because Atlantic City, first of all, beach patrols in New Jersey have been around.
Let's talk about tournaments next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about. We're going to sign off.
The point I'm making is that
that
sharing of information.
Yes,
and I think that's really cool. What we want to do.
So next week, tournaments and Battle of the Boats.
Yes, I digress.
All right. So listen, everyone, we're going to be signing off. This is because our
also still working on getting new intro and
intro. So this is Dr. Michael Kachmar. This has been Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar. We'll be again live next week, this time, hopefully on Tuesday. So keep an eye out for us. Thank you very much.
Stay out.
Stay out and stay alive. Stay out and stay alive.